Susan Hepler. I was wondering, how does Scientology look at mainstream moral panics like the Satanic Panic? And does the group have music, movies, or other forms of media they flat out tell their followers to avoid, besides those few instances of media that are just critical of Scientology? For example, some Christians try to keep those in their flock from listening to bands like Marilyn Manson or watching TV shows like Charmed. Oh yeah. For example, Dungeons and Dragons. Verboten, right? Not good to be doing Dungeons and Dragons in Scientology. Basically, and here I'll tell you the reason why. Scientologists believe that you have a mind, a reactive mind, that has pictures in it of times in the past when you have been subjected to pain, stress, and trauma, and unconsciousness. And that those times, those mental image pictures, and I'll just represent that with my hand here as this sort of, picture floating in space, because that's pretty much how Scientologists imagine it. The sheets of energy, they call these pictures. Well, these things impinge on you. They can recreate if some of the content of the picture is recreated in present time. So you get bit by a dog when you're 8 years old. It's very painful. The dog knocks you over. You hit your head on the ground. You get knocked out. And you have this dog bite. And all of this is recorded in your reactive mind. 10 years later, you're walking down the street. It's a sunny day like it was when you got bit by the dog. There's a dog barking. Maybe it's the same kind of dog, or it sounds a little bit like that dog that bit you. You start feeling uncomfortable. This picture, according to L. Ron Hubbard, and this is all bullshit, but this is what Hubbard says. This picture comes in, and you start feeling a little uncomfortable, and it's kind of a subconscious thing. You don't really know why. You're trying to figure out, I just don't feel good. You have no analytical connection with the dog barking and the sunny day to this incident that happened 10 years ago. All of this is called restimulation. Okay, that's why I have to explain all this. It's restimulation. It's taking this picture and stimulating it again, and it's slapping you upside the head, and it's making you feel uncomfortable. It might even create pain in the area where you got bit by the dog, or it might give you the feeling that you need to get away or get out or something's wrong. As far as Scientology is concerned, this restimulation is going on all the time. And you're constantly being restimulated by things going on in your environment. You've only got, 86 trillion, quadrillion years of stress and trauma to restimulate. So, according to Hubbard's principles, I think all of us would be fairly comatose from all the restimulation we'd be experiencing every moment of every day, and we wouldn't be able to get through life. But, like I said, none of this is really real anyway. But this is what Scientologists think. So, they will avoid anything that they think is going to restimulate them. And so weird, strange movies that throw a lot of weird stuff at you. I mean, for example, when I was in Scientology, Fight Club, the movie was somebody said, man, that movie is just pure reactive mind from one end to the other. In other words, it's this crazy, chaotic movie that just restimulates past pictures of stress and trauma and unconsciousness. Very unpleasant experience, It was another word Scientology uses is N theta. It's very N theta, meaning it's bad, it's confusing, it makes you feel worse rather than better. They don't like that. They reject that kind of thing. So a lot of Scientologists will avoid horror movies. Again, this isn't dogma. This is just kind of the culture of Scientology I'm talking about now. Horror movies, really gut-wrenching, awful, experiences or things that will remind them of those kinds of things, whether it's book, art, media. They'll tend to avoid that kind of stuff. They want things to be theta, not N theta. Theta, the opposite, right? Light, airy, happy. This kind of thing is what makes Scientologists happy. and they want to avoid the bad stuff. So, I realize I'm describing things that are very subjective. It really depends on the person, because there's certainly tons of Scientologists who enjoy horror movies. So it's not everybody. Some Scientologists are a lot more sensitive to this than others. But this is the general idea is avoid N theta, avoid nasty, restimulative stuff. And Dungeons and Dragons, for example, is supposed to be very restimulative because you're going through and you're being somebody else, you're being this character that you've created, and you're going through mazes and traps and violent situations, and it could be restimulative. That was what we were told when I was a teenager. And of course, I didn't listen, but that's what I was told as to why I shouldn't be playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I imagine video games could also fall into this, you know, that kind of thing. Again, no hard and fast rules in Scientology for the most part. The only thing that you are absolutely forbidden to look at or have anything to do with is anti-Scientology material. But culturally, this other stuff comes into play.